Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Obsessions of a Roller Skater, and happy National Roller Skating Month. Adi, happy National Roller Skating Month.
Same back to you. How exciting.
Yeah, I don't know who comes up with these things, but I'm glad they do.
I know, they must be the happiest person on earth for coming up with so many great holidays.
Yeah, it's good. I see people celebrating, which is good, getting things done. So how's skate life been going for you this month so far?
It's been going good. I started off skating really strong, and the last 2 weeks, I've actually been going to the gym more for cross-training purposes because I couldn't hop onto a grind rail, but that's okay. That's why we're going to the gym. What about you?
I definitely need to get back to doing some conditioning. My knee has been feeling better, so that's good. I did step over something at work the other day in a lunge fashion and it popped again, but then like nothing happened after. It was just like the pop happened and it kind of scared me, but it was okay. But I feel you, and I totally get the conditioning side of things. And I always feel so much better when I am going to the gym, or even doing like adding yoga in almost daily really has always really helped my skating. So samesies. And yeah, as far as actually skating, not a ton at the park. It's fall, so it's kind of like hit or miss if it's cold, and then it's getting dark really early, so got to start utilizing the indoor park soon. But all the learn to skate's been going on, so that's really fun. Derby's going on, and I'm going to be going to a derby tournament next month as a pickup skater for a neighboring team. So I'm looking forward to that. And another reason why I want to get back to the gym, so I have like some endurance for that.
Totally. Oh man, how many times are you going to Derby right now to like get prepared for all these competitions?
Not as much as I would like, but that's just kind of the reality of the world of the town that I live in. So I just have Derby once a week right now. And I have learned to skate first, and then I have Derby practice after. So just trying to incorporate it slowly and get everybody back skating slowly. But I think because I skate often, more than just at practice, outside and stuff like that, like my skills are always there. But again, cross training, gym, endurance are going to help a lot. The know-how and the muscle memory's there for Derby stuff already. And I'm never too nervous about taking a hit, because I like that kind of stuff.
It wakes you up, I will say that.
Some other stuff going on in Derby or in skate world these days. Did you see the new Lazo shoes that they dropped?
Well, on my side, it was definitely an eyebrow raise, I can say that. They look so comfortable, and I think it was a great comeback for them. What about you?
Yeah, it definitely seemed to have better traction, no pun intended, this time. And I like the style. I think it definitely makes a little bit more sense with skaters than that boot release did. Maybe if they had done it backwards, everybody wouldn't have got so upset. And start with the more cost-effective shoe and then like ease your way into the like $245 shoe. Because I mean, even these shoes are $105, which is $143 Canadian. So, I mean, it's still up there, but they are calling it premium footwear. But yes, I do like the style better. The colors are really cool. I've seen people mixing them, like wearing one of two colors. And I thought that was kind of cool. If you have a friend that has the same size feet, something you could do to be a little different.
Match made in heaven. No, I'm excited. I think that honestly, if they did like a collaboration with like Slade's, for example, detachable shoes, I think that would be really cool. Or even if they did like a high top, maybe like came out with like a Heelys version of them. Bring back the 2000s, right?
Yeah. Just have a little fun day wheel come out.
Totally. That'd be so awesome. But yeah, I think it was a really great comeback, and I think they're getting a lot of positive reviews on them. And I mean, I kind of want to try them myself, but I don't ever buy new shoes besides roller skates. So We'll
Fair
see.
enough.
We'll see.
When you wear a hole through whatever you're wearing now, then you have something else to consider. Right on. Well, today we wanted to talk about tips for starting roller skating, and it doesn't really matter what kind of skating you're going to do. I think just things that we have come to know having started skating ourselves, and maybe some things that we had wish we had known when we started skating, and just to try and help people have another video, another form of content of being able to pull ideas from and kind of get over the should I, shouldn't I, because you absolutely should.
I guess I'll hand it off to you. What is your first tip for beginners?
Besides just do it, my first tip would be to, obviously you're going to have to buy some skates, right? And nowadays, thankfully, but also confusingly, there is a world of roller skates that you can choose from. I've personally seen a lot of them firsthand. I haven't skated all of them firsthand, but I know the difference between the materials and things like that. And I would say get yourself a pair of skates, obviously, whatever is affordable to you and gets you rolling. But if you can, consider that quality. A good quality boot, while it doesn't make the skater, it does make a difference. And I think having, metal trucks over nylon trucks and having a nice rubber toe stop and not like a plasticky rubber toe stop, having some good wheels on that skate that you buy is going to just help your experience and help you feel more comfortable in those early days where you're going to feel like Bambi on ice. So that would be my first tip.
I remember when I first got into skating, I think I bought a $5 to $10 pair at Savers, and it was a pair of Chicago's, which were like labeled the worst possible skates known to mankind. They were maybe like a size and a half too big. They're horrible, horrible skates. But I can tell you that once I went from those Chicago skates to a Lolly, which is a huge price difference, $10 to I think it was like $250 at the time. The quality made a huge difference. And even having the gummier wheels, because I had harder wheels on those skates, the Chicago's, it made a huge difference in learning. If you're looking to get a new skate, like getting into skating, finding a new boot, I definitely would recommend getting gummier wheels when it comes to your first pair of skates. Like that's the one item where I'm like, gummy wheels, way to go if you're learning anything.
Power to you if you can afford like the top end and that's what you want to go with. Sometimes maybe that might not be like as advantageous for a beginner either, because they tend to be like stiff and they tend to have a really long break-in time. So kind of hitting that like sweet spot in the middle of maybe like a $200 to $300 skate would probably be a really good starting point.
Yeah. And they last a while too. I think Impalas are good in like beginner skates. If you're just like, okay, maybe once in a while I go to the rink. I think the other brand is called Chayas. I can't say it.
Yeah, Chaya, I think.
Also like low-rise derby boots I found are really good beginner skates.
And again, it's going to depend on what kind of skating you're doing too, right? If you're thinking like you immediately want to go to the park, or you want to start recreational, or you want to jump into derby, that's going to factor into which ones you get to. So
100%. Going off of that to our next point, getting to know your skates. Oh my gosh, it's so important. So I'm still learning stuff about my skates. I learned that you had to replace your little pivot cup like every few months. Had no idea. I think I have skates that have them for like 3+ years now. I felt a little shame on the inside. I was like, oh my God.
I don't think I've replaced mine either. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Do you replace them? But yeah, getting to know your plates also, and like experimenting with your plates and your trucks, taking apart your skates and re-putting them together.
Definitely like checking your skates right out of the box. You mentioned the trucks for sure. So your trucks have an axle and then your wheels sit on the axle, and that is what's allowing more side-to-side movement if you have those loose or tight. And over time, people are going to build a preference depending on their skating, if they like them loose or if they like them tighter, if they like them somewhere in the middle. But the way they come stock out of the box isn't maybe necessarily the way you want them. You might need a little bit more movement so that it doesn't take as much pressure for you to kind of tip the skate on its edges and be able to move around. Of course, you don't want it too loosey-goosey either because you're learning, so you don't really want to feel like you're going to break your ankle with a super, super loose truck. So I would recommend going somewhere, again, sweet spot in the middle range, and then, but playing with it for sure.
I also experimented with how I was tying my laces because I have wider feet, but I also have very small feet. And so I found like tying them certain ways helped a ton with my skating. Because I mean, still to this day, sometimes I'm lazy. I lose all blood circulation to my calf. It's a whole thing. So definitely looking into each part of your skate, it kind of matters. And I feel like you kind of develop a relationship with your skate, as silly as that sounds, when you're like finagling with it.
You do. And yeah, the lace point's really great. I've definitely encouraged that. And in Derby, I remember learning people would put like a shoelace in the bottom and then like tie it off and then have like another one above it. So it wasn't as tight on the bottom of their foot and it was tighter on the top. I would just tie off knots on mine, so it wasn't like pushing on my foot so tight on the bottom. But there's actually a lot of diagrams that you can like pull from on the internet and figure out what kind of lace setup might work depending on what you're trying to achieve. I like to change my insoles because they're just like flimsy little things. And if you could get something with more cushioning or something that fits your foot better, again, you don't need this necessarily to start skating. Obviously, you're going to need to break in your skates and all that good stuff. But these little things can like make your experience more enjoyable, which can just kind of take you out of your head of thinking about how your feet are feeling or that, that pain, because you're going to feel, sore thighs and shins and feet anyways.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm looking into getting new insoles for my skates because whenever I jump and I land, it hurts my ankles so much. I've never got like insoles for it. So I'm really happy you brought that up. So thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely something with that impact absorption. It's going to really help for sure. So. And I guess while we're on the subject of like gear, I think a really good thing for beginner skaters, and I'm not the padding police here, do your own thing, but it's not if you fall, it's when you fall. And I get people are going to wear what they're going to wear, but knee pads, like wear some knee pads to start. I'm a big advocate to wear all the gear, and a helmet too, no matter how slow you're going. But those knee pads, I think you can't just jump off of these roller skates. So having something for when you fall forward and having something to save your knees is going to just, help your confidence stay high down the road instead of biffing it and taking it straight to the knee. Because you might be like outside on asphalt practicing and that's going to hurt and you're going to go scraped up. It kind of deters you, right? When things like that happen. So I would say knee pads.
If there was anything I'd say that should just come in a box of skates, it's knee pads. I will be the padding police on this one. 100% wear your knee pads.
Yeah.
I can say landing on my knees so many times. If I land on them now with knee pads, I get a shooting pain from all the damage that's happened. I got cheap ass pads from Walmart, and let me tell you, invest in some good knee pads. I will be the judge jury on that.
Yeah, and if you want to wear the thinner ones, like you can bulk them up with like the knee sleeve that goes underneath them. I know sometimes like some beginner rec skaters, even derby skaters aren't like super keen on having a really bulky knee pad, but it does help. And you're going to learn. If you're learning, you're going to learn how to skate with them on if you are wearing them. So,
and like, I want to point out, like, you can even wear compression sleeves that have like thinner pads in it, and it's still something. It's like the little butt donuts, but for your knees. Just protect the rim, pretty much.
And I see lots of people like just wearing cute, like, baggy pants are back in. So just get a friggin' baggy pair of pants that go over them if you don't like the aesthetic of them. And most of the time, like, you can't even tell some of these skaters are wearing them unless you're actually looking for it. So,
so true though.
Don't worry about looking cute. A blown out knee isn't cute.
No, it's quite ugly. I can say that when I went to prom, I wore concealer for all the scars I have on my knees because there were so many. So wear your knee pads.
Yeah. I just went to my prom with like bruises all over my legs, but that was from playing rugby. My mom's like, you're gonna wear a short dress, like your legs are covered in bruises. I'm like, everybody knows who I am, it's fine.
Like, stay away, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I love it.
What else helped you when you were learning to skate?
One thing I wish I knew about was your environment. So I mean, I'll go from my experience and you can say yours, but I learned how to skate in a canyon, in a very rocky parking lot, very bumpy, and it was great because no one was there, but I want to point out I should have went to a tennis court, but here we are. We learn and we live.
And you wore knee pads? No, I'm just kidding.
I wish I did. I did not at that time, but I got a lot of rocks embedded in my skin. That's okay, though. It makes you tougher. But looking at your environment, I mean, even today with park skating, always going to the park beforehand helps a ton because then you can at least feel more comfortable there, which I feel like is a huge thing. I mean, where did you learn to like skate and then how do you feel like that environment's changed for you?
Obviously, Derby was my first experience skating, so I got to learn a lot of those really basic skills, like in when I started playing, we had an abandoned grocery store. So they had gutted the whole grocery store and we just got to use it like free reign. And there was no air conditioning, there was no heat. But it was a concrete floor. So I was really thankful to have that space and be able to learn there. When I went outside, I think my first time I did go just straight to the park. I had a teammate that took me and luckily I went with them because they gave me pointers about being at the park and going up and down the ramps with like staggered feet because I definitely would have ate it super hard if I just like showed up there by myself and tried to do it. And again, we have a newer park here, so very thankful that I was able to have a nice smooth area. A lot of beginner skaters in my town typically tend to try and get into the tennis court, even though you're technically not supposed to skate on there, and utilize that space.
I do, should you?
Yeah. Or like they lock it here though. It sucks, but there's like a basketball court up by the high school too that people utilize. So again, just like something and when I was teaching outside, I would take people up to that basketball court if it was summer. So flat, smooth as possible. Bring a broom if you got one. Definitely just leave it in your car. I bought like a skate broom and I just left it in my car. Yeah. So having places like that, anything that's going to give you like a lot of space is nice. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but certainly just somewhere that you can start to learn the basics. So start to learn how to skate forward, how to skate backwards, how to turn, how to use your toe stops. Like all of those really basic skills are going to help you flourish and grow and start doing like all the hard stuff and all the like, fun dancey things that you want to do, all the park things that you want to do, all the roller derby that you want to play and the trails you want to skate. You need to know all the basic skills.
There is one skater, Self Love on Skates is her name. Super, super cute girl. She actually went to her local fitness center and asked if she could skate in a private room. And so she goes and she skates there and it has the glossiest, smoothest, there's mirrors. I'm super jealous. But so, I mean, just ask around for places. You never know. Having
those places where you know you're going to go and skate to when you're starting skating, having a couple places in your back pocket in case you show up one place and it's busy and then you can go to your other place, like that is going to help with you staying consistent and actually getting out there and skating. And convenience, like where you're going, you're not guessing, and it just you could just be like, I'm going to the place, and then you show up and you do the thing.
Yeah, it's your safe space.
Yeah, like you said, like anytime you go to a new park, like scope out the park first, like don't worry about just dropping in there, like and finding, because you might only get stuck on one or two places. Like really try and get comfortable, check your surroundings, who's there, what's going on. Once you've gotten comfortable in your space and you've learned all your basics, like switch it up too. Always be on the lookout. I'm always like, oh, that would be so cool to skate. Oh my gosh, look at those stairs. We could jump those. Like, oh, look at that. And like my brain just doesn't even turn off from that aspect of it now. But as you progress, like trying different surfaces and different inclines and things like that is also going to help you progress as a skater. So,
and they have that new app now, that Let's Roll app, which is really great for finding new skate places. So mention out to that. What do you feel like is some of the fundamentals of skating? You've kind of touched on it a little bit, but what would you say like the most like top, like we'll say 5 basic skills to learn is?
I would say, yeah, and I did touch on this, but definitely skating forward. And you can do that, using bubbles to start is a really good way to start. Then you can get into like forward strides. But even before that, I would do some forward bubbles. I would learn some backwards bubbles. Then I would get into strides, and I would use those bubbles because once you start striding, you're going to start picking up speed. Use those bubbles to slow down. I would get comfortable with doing crossovers and being able to utilize those in both, kind of an edging fashion, how to turn. If you're like on a wider space, you're going to be able to turn. I kind of have 6. I can't just say 5 because that leads me to like edging and weaving, being able to maneuver around things and like weave around, oh, there's like a rock, and like weave around it comfortably. And that adds in like some playful fun aspect to it. And then learning how to stop. And again, stopping is going to maybe vary a little bit depending on your environment. You can't necessarily do a nice plow stop outside on rough concrete. So learning how to transition, so like turn from facing forwards to facing backwards, and then utilizing those toe stops on how to stop would definitely be like the basics to like hone in and like really nail down and really get comfortable with, because it's going to give you so much more confidence when you go to try other stuff, whether it's dancing or park or whatever. It's going to give you that confidence to not have to just think about like those basic moves. And really at the end of the day, it like ties into everything. So suggestion, and that's what I teach when I teach my classes. So
we need more roller skating classes.
How about you? Is there anything that really like stuck out when you were learning that maybe you got hung up on and it took you a little while to learn like more so than another basic skill?
One thing that I learned actually a little bit later on in Derby, which thankfully Derby saved my life, is how to fall properly. Because especially with your hands, I always like grasp it, I believe, like this, and you need to like have your thumb on the outside, if I remember right. I mean, when I'm falling now, you'll probably see my hands like fling. I'm gonna break a finger soon. But definitely falling and getting comfortable with falling onto your knees with pads on. The other thing I wanted to mention as well, transition to going backwards to going forwards, because like I still struggle with that, and I feel like if I had learned earlier on that I would have had like almost not have like had that mental like iffiness on it. So I think that's a really important one to learn. And then the last one is just like feeling comfortable with stopping. Those are my big top 3 say, but I mean, you touched pretty well on all of those, so I don't feel like I need to go into too much depth with any of them. So great job on that.
For sure. Yeah. Basics are key. And I always tell all my skaters, whether it's in a learn to skate class or it's veteran derby skaters that have played for 10 plus years, like you're never better than your basic skills. And like, you can always do better at your basic skills. Like you're never above a drill. Like you can always be honing it in, like learning how to stop faster, turn faster, all that kind of stuff. Like you can always build on those skills and get better and better at them. And again, I honestly think like the better you are at all of those basics, the more intuitive and the more easy other stuff comes, or at least tends to make sense in your head on how to achieve it, and then just practice, because learning isn't linear. So, you know, some skills you are going to like get it right away, and other skills it's just you're going to have to do it. I had a friend, bless them, who could not plow stop for like their entire first year of derby, and they practiced so hard, and every time at practice they were like trying, and just for whatever reason it didn't click for them, but it did one day, and then they got it. So,
Oh, I love that.
don't give up.
No, for real. And I want to touch up on one other thing. Like, when you're learning the basics, it's super important to watch videos. Like, when you're learning, oh my gosh, the roller skating community has blown up on social media.
Beginner skaters are so lucky now.
I know, I'm like, God damn, I wish I had this when I was learning. Especially like, I mean, Moxie Back to the Streets, that's helped me a lot right now with my park skating, especially with 50/50s. The grinds on the boxes, all of that, I was trying to figure out by myself, watching people on the 5-second Instagram bits. Not helpful.
It's never slow enough, and you're like, and there's no like slow motion.
You're like pausing it, and then like your phone turns down, and then it refreshes the page, you're gone, you're like, definitely watch videos, and it gets you a lot more comfortable also of like what resources are available to you, who's out there, what kind of brands are there, what kind of skates there are, because there's so much information. Now, watching videos, I mean, it's just like anything, educating yourself, super important. A lot of people come into roller skating by watching videos, so I mean, learn from them too, because it introduces you to so much.
Yeah, and on that point, not even just videos of other people, but videos of yourself, right? Like, of course, we all want the cute clip, and we all want like the sick trick to post and show everybody, but like filming your progression. And I think we talked about this last time, that we both wish we had more content from when we first started, but it just wasn't really a thing then. But film yourself, because you are progressing, and just because you're doing it consistently and kind of slowly building, sometimes you don't feel like you are. And I've 100% had that feeling where I'm like, man, I'm not getting better at this. And then I look at my park videos from the beginning of the year and then now, and I'm like, oh wow, like I'm actually way more smooth at that thing, and I'm way more like fast into doing that thing, and et cetera, et cetera. So make sure you're filming yourself for your personal records, and then totally going to get something cool out of their little clip. That's what editing's for. You know, you can make yourself look like a rock star and get all the good goods, and show some falling down too, because we all need to remind everybody that we are human, and everybody's human, and the internet isn't just a magic place of everybody landing every gnarly trick.
100%. And that, you know, stay tuned for Cruise You Lose, because we highlight those. So they are important. Don't underestimate those bails. But yeah, one other thing I want to say is to also, if you see something that you want to do, go ahead and save it on your Instagram. Create a skate archive. That's one thing I've been doing for years now, and there's still tricks where I'm like, oh, I'm burnt out, I'm gonna go try this.
No, that's really good. I've been utilizing that more and more now too, because you get in such your routines of just doing the things, and I'm like, what did I want to work on? Like, I remember seeing something that I totally thought was achievable, and I go back to my little saved folder, and there it is for sure.
Oh, totally. And you introduced me to, is it Happy Tricks? Is that right?
Happy Tricks.
Yeah. They have great content. I recommend it.
Another thing I really like about that one is if there is like one trick that you're wanting to do when you're starting. So say like you're starting park, and you literally just want to learn how to like air out, you know, or air off of a tiny ramp or something, or go down a ramp. There's going to be so much content now, and so many videos that you can see multiple different kinds of people doing things too, which I think is really helpful. Because before it was like you were seeing the people who do it almost flawlessly, and now you can see like people kind of tripping up and saving themselves, or maybe somebody turns to the left and somebody else turns to the right, or somebody leads with their left foot or somebody leads with their right. Like, it does make a difference if you're a visual learner.
The last thing, you have a few more things, but I want to say, get to know your community, get to go to the skate rink, go to your local derby, like support your local skate shops, all of that. Your community is important. I mean, all my communities up in Salt Lake, and then I have dance over here, so it's kind of like sporadic over here, but get to know it. It makes such a difference in your skating. Watching even beginners learn how to do stuff with other beginners, you just see so much progression. So making those skate friends, it's really scary, but even just asking someone that's never done it, hey, do you want to join me? It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it's really good I always do something new or like push myself to do something different or learn something when I'm skating with other people. So I think that'd be really great. And if you don't happen to live somewhere where people are readily available as much on roller skates, like don't be afraid to go at it alone and maybe like make an Instagram buddy. And like it's amazing if you just like reach out and send someone a DM. Send us a DM. We'll talk to you. We'll talk you through it. Like if it's not 1 a.m. in the morning and you want to jump on like a live chat with us, like I'm totally down to help people out and like have a little skate date. So if anybody needs somebody like that, please hit us up because I get so jazzed teaching people. I love it so much. It's totally my passion. And to be honest, my skate community is growing around here, but it's not like I have like a huge pool to choose from. So I'm usually still hitting the park and having little sessions here and there solo. But I am super thankful that more and more people are coming out now. And I do have some friends that I can call up and go with because it is super fun when you go together and you can encourage each other and do all this rad stuff with someone else. And if we had to wrap up all of this, and one other thing that I would highly, highly encourage new skaters to do is to take care of your body. Know your limits. It's okay to learn slowly. You know, some of us don't really do any sports. Like roller skating draws in such a massive group of different types of people. And it's not just like a sporty person who played athletics their whole life. So be kind with yourself and try and incorporate a little bit of that cross training that Adi and I were, touching on that we both need to get back to doing. Personally, for me, when I started doing yoga, it made a huge difference in not only my skating, but like my snowboarding, my breathing, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely make sure you take care of your muscles and your knees and take magnesium, like all the good stuff that you can do. I find like when people enter roller skating, it's definitely a good like check of like, this is where your health is at or your physical abilities are at. And I absolutely believe everybody is capable to do all of the things. You just might need to be a little more gracious with yourself and give yourself that little bit more time. Build your ankle strength, build your inner thigh strength, build your glutes. Like I thought all the skating I did, I had strong glutes. And then I went to my physio and they were like, let's check your glute strength. And they were like, wow, these things are weak. Like you have to,
yep, that happened to me. I understand.
Yeah, like you have to hone in on certain muscle groups that are going to get activated and like work on them on top of just skating. Skating will give you some muscles you never had. It'll wake up a lot of muscles you forgot you had. But any little extra steps, if you could squat while you're brushing your teeth, it's great.
Oh yeah, and going back to yoga, it helps so much. I've been noticing. Well, I've also talked to a few like pro skaters, and also watching Instagrams and TikToks and all that social media. And all of them have been telling me about how they have gotten injured and how much yoga has contributed to them just bouncing back. So if there's anything for cross training that like can really like help is stretching and yoga. Like I have really tight hamstrings, just as an example. And when I skate, they get so tight that I can pull them all the time. So with yoga, it helps.
Yeah. And honestly, like beyond like the stretching aspect of it too, I personally, having taught and been around so many like new skaters over the years, some people's mind to their body connection isn't as strong as you might think. I'm like, turn your left foot and like somebody won't do it. And I'm like, what's happening here? Turn your left foot, and like something doesn't compute, right? Because maybe they just haven't been having to think of like what that really means in their body. So I think yoga also helps like get you in tuned with your body and what it means to move all the individual small parts of your body and what it feels like. So, but yeah, get out there, start skating, you know, just whatever you got to do, and reach out to your community, build a community. If you have questions, hit us up. You can hit us on our channels. I'm at 16 Bearings, or you can hit up Adeline Skates. Of course, you can always follow the podcast on Obsessions of a Roller Skater and shoot us a DM there. Like, I'm not lying. If you want to like have a video chat, if you need help with something, I will do my best to be there for you and help you walk through it. But yeah, absolutely. If you've been thinking about roller skating, or you just picked up a pair of skates and you're feeling a little overwhelmed, not knowing where to start, hopefully these key points have helped break it down for you, and you can make yourself a little checklist and head out there tomorrow.
Yeah, just do it. Just like Nike says, just do it. Sponsored.
Hopefully,
just kidding.
Hopefully we don't get cut for doing that. Right on. Well, I'm so excited to see what your channel has going on for October. I know you guys love spooky season. I think does like every roller skater ever. So it's good that it's National Roller Skating Month, but I think it makes for some really amazing creative content, and I'm super stoked to see what you guys are coming up with and coming down the pipeline for
I'm excited. We got some
the Halloween
cooking
stuff.
It'll be a lot of fun. And then next time we can chat all about it.
Yay! I'm so excited. All right, well, I'm going to get going because I think my cat is going to dig a hole underneath my door if I don't let her in here. So.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, our third co-host, because I'm sure everybody heard her meowing in the background here. I can't stop it. She's one of a kind, and it's her own thing. She's not in distress. She just wants love. She just wants snuggles.
You should get her like a little cat chair. She can be on next time. Have her as a special guest.
Yeah. We'll have her on soon. All right. Well, we'll talk to you next time.
See ya.